The grand summoning chamber had not been used in 10,000 years. It sat deep beneath the holy world of Ethoria, carved from crystal that glowed with ancient power. 12 different alien species had sent their highest priests to this sacred place. They stood in a circle around a platform of pure white stone, their robes flowing, their voices chanting words older than most civilizations. High Oracle Sevenus raised her 4 arms toward the ceiling. Our silver skin reflected the growing light that filled the chamber. This was the moment they had waited for. The void hunger was coming. It had already consumed 47 star systems, eating planets and stars like a child eating sweets. Their fleets were useless against it. Their weapons did nothing. But the ancient prophecy spoke of hope. It spoke of an Earthborn warrior with an iron will who would stand against the darkness. The chanting grew louder. The light grew brighter. Energy crackled through the air like lightning before a storm. Every priest poured their strength into the ritual, calling across the vast emptiness of space to a small blue planet they had watched but never contacted. Then came the flash. It was so bright that even beings made of living light had to look away. Thunder shook the chamber. The crystal walls hummed with power. And when the light finally faded, someone stood on the white platform. She was not what they expected. Maya Chen was 32 years old. She had brown skin, black hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, and dark circles under her eyes from working too many night shifts. She wore a blue uniform with a warehouse company logo on the chest. In her right hand, she held a half-eaten turkey sandwich. There were pillow marks on her left cheek from the break room couch. She blinked at the assembled aliens. They stared back at her with wide eyes and open mouths. "What?" Maya said flatly. "The hell?" High Oracle Savinus recovered first. She stepped forward, spreading her arms wide in a gesture of welcome. Her voice echoed through the chamber like music. "Welcome, Chosen One. We have called you across the stars to fulfill your sacred destiny. The prophecy speaks of your coming, of your iron will and unbreakable spirit. You are the one who will save us from the void hunger, the darkness that consumes all. We have waited 10,000 years for this moment, for you too. Yeah, skip the intro." Maya held up her hand. The sandwich dripped mayonnaise onto the ancient stone. "Where am I? Why am I here? And how do I get home?" Short answers: I got 12 minutes left on my break. Silence filled the chamber. The priests looked at each other in confusion. This was not how the prophecy was supposed to go. A tall reptilian creature stepped forward. He wore military medals on his chest and stood like someone used to giving orders. "I am Admiral Vexther of the Crocian Empire. You're on Ethoria, the holy world of the Galactic Coalition. You were summoned because an ancient prophecy named your planet as the birthplace of our savior. The void hunger threatens all life in this galaxy. We need you to defeat it." Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then she took a bite of her sandwich and chewed slowly. Everyone waited. "Okay," she finally said. "Tell me about this void hunger thing. What does it do? What have you tried? What resources do you have?" Admiral Vexther was surprised by the questions. He had expected fear or denial or demands to be sent home immediately. Instead, this small human was asking for a mission briefing. He explained everything. The void hunger was a mass of living darkness that moved through space like a hungry animal. It did not follow normal physics. It ate anything it touched. Planets, stars, ships, people. Nothing survived contact with it. Their combined fleet of 3 million warships had attacked it directly and lost 200,000 vessels in a single hour. Maya listened without expression. She asked more questions. How fast did it move? Did it have any patterns? What happened to the systems before it arrived? The priests shifted uncomfortably. They had prepared speeches about destiny and fate and the sacred duty of the Chosen One. They had not prepared for a tactical interview. Finally, Elder Mothra spoke. She was ancient even by galactic standards, a being made of living light that flickered like a candle in wind. Her voice was soft but carried clearly through the chamber. "Are you not frightened, Earthborn? You face a threat that has destroyed civilizations older than your species." Maya shrugged. "I served 3 tours in war zones on Earth. I've seen things that would break most minds. I've held friends while they bled out. I've made calls that got people killed. She finished her sandwich and wiped her hands on her uniform. Cosmic horror eating planets. That's just Tuesday with better special effects. The chamber fell silent again. This time, it was a different kind of silence. Several of the priests looked at Maya with new eyes. This was not the dramatic hero of legend. This was something else. Something perhaps more useful. I'll help you, Maya said, but I have conditions. First, when this is over, you send me home. Second, stop with the chosen one garbage. I'm not your messiah. I'm not your savior. I'm a consultant. You have a problem? I'll help you solve it. That's the deal. High Oracle Sevenus looked like she wanted to argue. The prophecy clearly stated that the Earthborn would embrace their destiny. But Admiral Vexter spoke first. Agreed. We will provide you with quarters, information, and anything else you need. Good. Maya stepped off the platform. She was shorter than almost everyone in the room, but somehow that did not make her seem small. Now someone show me where I can get some coffee. Real coffee. Then we start going through your battle data. As a young officer led Maya toward the exit, a communication screen suddenly lit up on the chamber wall. An urgent alarm filled the air. Admiral Vexter rushed to the screen, and his scales turned pale. What is it? Oracle Sevenus asked. The Admiral turned to face the room. His voice was heavy with fear. The Void Hunger has changed course. It was heading toward the outer systems, but now it turns toward us. It is coming directly for Ethoria. How? A priest gasped. How could it know? Maya stopped at the doorway. She looked back at the glowing platform where she had appeared, at the crystal walls still humming with leftover energy from the summoning ritual. Your ritual, she said quietly. All that power you used to pull me here. You basically sent up a flare telling the whole galaxy exactly where you are. She let out a long breath. How long until it gets here? Admiral Vexter checked the screen. 17 days. Maya nodded slowly. 17 days to understand an enemy that had destroyed 47 star systems. 17 days to find a weakness that millions of warriors had failed to find. 17 days to save a galaxy she had not even known existed until 20 minutes ago. She said, I guess my break is officially over. Show me your war room. We have work to do. She walked out of the chamber without looking back. Priest watched her go, still uncertain what to make of this strange, unimpressed human who treated cosmic threats like workplace problems. But Admiral Vexter found himself feeling something he had not felt in months. He felt hope. The galaxy summoned a legendary Earthborn warrior. She yawned. Skip the intro part 2. That's not a plan. That's a wish. Maya stood in the Coalition's war room with a cup of terrible coffee in her hand. The aliens had tried their best, but they did not understand how coffee was supposed to taste. She drank it anyway. She had survived worse in the army. Around her, holographic displays filled the air with images of the approaching enemy. The Void Hunger looked like a storm made of pure darkness. It moved through space in ways that made no sense. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, always hungry. Stars disappeared into it like candles being blown out. 15 admirals from different species sat around the curved table. They wore medals and carried themselves with the pride of warriors who had won many battles. Admiral Vexter was the most senior among them. His reptilian eyes watched Maya with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. We have called our combined fleet to Ethoria, he announced. 3 million warships from every coalition species. When the Void Hunger arrives, we will meet it with the greatest military force ever assembled. We will hit it with everything we have. The other admirals nodded in approval. They pounded the table with fists and claws. This was how warriors faced threats. With strength, with courage, with overwhelming force. Maya took a sip of her bad coffee. That's not a plan. That's a wish. The room went quiet. Admiral Vexter's scales shifted colors in what Maya guessed was anger. Explain yourself, human. You're hoping really hard while doing the same thing that failed 47 times. Walked to the main display and pointed at the historical data. Every system the Void Hunger destroyed had a fleet defending it. System 23 had 800,000 ships. System 31 had over 1 million. They gathered their forces, attacked directly, and lost every single time. Those were individual fleets, another admiral argued. He was covered in blue fur and had tusks that curved up from his jaw. Together, our combined force is much greater, so you'll lose much greater. Maya shook her head. You're not thinking about this right. Look at the pattern. She pulled up attack data from multiple systems. The Void Hunger doesn't hit randomly. Watch the order of its attacks in each system. It goes for the strongest point first. Always. The biggest concentration of ships, the most powerful defense station, whatever has the most energy output. It's like it's drawn to power. She turned to face the admirals. Every time you gather your forces, you create a bigger target. You're basically ringing a dinner bell. Admiral Vexler stood up. He was twice Maya's height and looked like he could bite through steel. I have led fleets for 200 years. I have won victories your young species cannot imagine. What are your credentials, Earthborn? What wars have you won? Maya met his gaze without flinching. I spent 6 years fighting enemies who were stronger than us, better equipped than us, and knew the ground better than us. We won because we didn't fight fair. We won because we were smart enough to know that honor doesn't matter if everyone's dead. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Then a voice spoke from the back. What would you suggest, Sergeant Chen? Everyone turned. A young officer stood near the wall, trying not to draw too much attention. She was Veshan, with pale purple skin and 4 slender arms. Her uniform had the marks of a junior tactical officer. Maya smiled slightly. Finally, someone was asking the right question. Guerrilla tactics, Maya said. Don't concentrate your forces. Spread them out. Hit the Void Hunger from multiple angles with small, fast strikes. Make it chase shadows. Keep it confused while we figure out its actual weakness. The admirals exchanged looks of disgust. The blue-furred one actually laughed. Hide and run? Strike from the shadows like cowards. The Crocian do not fight like thieves. No, Maya agreed. The Crocian die like heroes. Same result as the other 47 systems. Very honorable. Very dead. Admiral Vexler looked ready to explode. But before he could speak, the young Neshan officer stepped forward again. The human makes a logical point, Admiral. Our traditional tactics have a 0% success rate against this enemy. Perhaps unconventional methods deserve consideration. Vexler turned his anger toward her. And who are you to speak in this council, child? Junior Tactical Officer Kira, sir. She stood straight despite the attention. I have been analyzing the battle data since it first arrived. The patterns Sergeant Chen describes are real. The Void Hunger does target concentrated power first. It is a measurable behavior. The room split. Older admirals shouted about tradition and honor. Younger officers whispered support for the new ideas. Maya watched it all with the tired patience of someone who had seen this kind of argument before, after the meeting broke without agreement. Kira approached Maya in the hallway. I apologize for the council's reaction, the young officer said. They are afraid, and fear makes them hold tighter to old ways. Don't apologize. You spoke up. That took guts. Maya studied Kira with interest. You said you've been analyzing the data? Show me what you found. Kira's eyes brightened. Really? The senior officers never want to hear my analysis. They say, I am too young, too inexperienced. On Earth, we have a saying. Don't judge a fish by how well it climbs trees. Maya started walking. Come on, my quarters have better coffee than this garbage. Let's look at your data. Over the next several hours, Maya and Kira went through every piece of information about the Void Hunger. Kira was brilliant. Her 4 hands moved across multiple displays at once, pulling up data and making connections. She had ideas that no one had listened to for years. Maya taught her things too. She showed Kira how to think like a hunter instead of a soldier, how to look for weaknesses instead of planning attacks, how to ask what if instead of accepting what is. You are very different from what I expected, Kira said during a break. The prophecy described a legendary warrior. Someone ... larger, Maya laughed. It was the first time she had laughed since arriving. I'm exactly what I look like. A tired woman who's good at solving problems. No magic powers. No legendary destiny. Just experience and stubbornness. Perhaps that is what we need. Before Maya could respond, alarms filled the air. Red lights flashed. A voice announced that the void hunger had been detected at the edge of the system. It had arrived 4 days early. They ran to the war room. The main display showed the Coalition fleet moving to intercept the enemy. Admiral Vexter had ignored Maya's advice. He was launching the direct attack. Maya watched the battle unfold with growing horror. The fleet fought bravely. Ships fired weapons that could crack planets. Warriors died with courage and honor, and none of it mattered. But it was not just that the void hunger was winning. Maya noticed something far worse. In earlier battles, the enemy had been like a wild animal, powerful but instinctive. Now, it was different. It was flanking ships. It was predicting movements. It was using tactics. It's learning, Maya whispered. Every tactic used against it, it adapts to. Look, that maneuver the Crocian just tried. The void hunger countered it exactly. Like it already knew what they would do. Kira checked the historical data. Her purple skin went pale. She is right. The enemy is applying strategies from previous battles. It remembers. It studies. The void hunger was not just a cosmic disaster. It was intelligent. And now it knew everything the Coalition had ever tried. The battle ended with 200,000 ships destroyed. The void hunger continued its approach toward Ethoria, completely unstoppable. Maya stared at the display. For the first time since arriving, she felt the cold touch of real fear. They were not fighting a monster. They were fighting something that learned the galaxy. Summoned a legendary Earthborn warrior, she yawned. Skip the intro part 3. Okay. Now I'm interested. The war room was full of shouting. Admirals blamed each other for the defeat. Politicians demanded answers. Priests prayed to ancient gods. Everyone was afraid, and fear made them loud. Maya sat in a corner, ignoring all of it. Her eyes were fixed on her datapad, scrolling through recordings of the battle. She watched the same moments over and over. The way the void hunger moved, the way it reacted, the way it learned Kira found her there 2 hours later. Sergeant Chen? The council is asking for you. They want to know what we should do next. Tell them I'm busy. Maya did not look up from the datapad. The admirals are very upset. Admiral Vexter says, Okay, now I'm interested. Kira stopped. What? Maya finally looked up. There was something different in her eyes. Not fear, something sharper. The void hunger learns. That changes everything. A dumb enemy is dangerous. A smart enemy is a puzzle. And puzzles have solutions. She stood up and grabbed her jacket. I need a team. People who think different. People the system has ignored. Can you find them? Kira nodded slowly. I know some people. 3 hours later, Maya sat in a small room with the strangest team ever assembled. Kira was there, her 4 hands already pulling up data displays. Beside her sat Dr. Orvax, an elderly scientist who looked like a turtle with too many eyes. He had been pushed into retirement decades ago for asking questions nobody wanted answered. In the corner stood Zeth, a pilot with feathers instead of hair. He had been demoted 3 times for creative interpretation of orders. So, Zeth said, his feathers ruffling with amusement, the legendary Earthborn savior needs help from the Coalition's rejects. This is wonderful. I don't need heroes, Maya replied. I need people who can think outside the box. You were all pushed aside because you didn't fit the system. That makes you exactly what I need. Dr. Orvax blinked several of his eyes. What are we looking for? The void hunger is intelligent. That means it has patterns, goals, maybe even psychology. Maya pulled up a galaxy map showing all 47 destroyed systems. We're going to profile it, like hunting a serial killer. Figure out what it wants, how it thinks, why it does what it does. They worked through the night and into the next day. Kira analyzed attack patterns. Zeth studied movement data from his pilot's perspective. Dr. Orvax compared energy readings across different encounters. Maya applied techniques she had learned in military intelligence. If an enemy was intelligent, It would have consistent behaviors, preferences, maybe even fears. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. "Wait," Dr. Orvax said suddenly. His old voice cracked with excitement. "I have seen something like this before. Not in science records. In stories." Everyone looked at him. "When I was a child, my grandmother told me tales about the hungry dark, an ancient evil that slept between the stars. She said it came once before, long ago, before any of our species had left their homeworlds." His many eyes grew distant with memory. "I always thought they were just stories to frighten children." Maya leaned forward. "What else did the story say?" "They said the hungry dark was not always hungry. It slept for millions of years. Something had to wake it up." Silence filled the room. Then Kira began typing rapidly, her four hands flying across the keyboard. "Dr. Orvax, when did the void hunger first appear?" 20 years ago. "The first attack was on a mining station in the outer 20 years ago." Kira cut him off. "The same year the Coalition activated the Galactic Energy Network, the system that links all our worlds for instant communication and power sharing." She pulled up a map showing the network. Glowing lines connected thousands of planets and stations across the galaxy. It was the greatest technological achievement in Coalition history. "The network uses quantum energy pulses," Kira explained. "Very specific frequencies. Very powerful. And very unusual in nature." She overlaid the void hunger's path onto the network map. Every system it destroyed was a major node in the network. It's not random. It's following the energy. Maya felt the pieces clicking together in her mind. The network woke it up, and now it's feeding on it. "We built a road straight to our own destruction." "If this is true," Zeth said slowly, "then the solution is simple. Shut down the network. Go dark. The void hunger loses its trail." Dr. Orvax shook his head sadly. "The network is everything. Communication, commerce, defense coordination. Shutting it down would collapse the entire Coalition economy. Worlds would be isolated. Billions would suffer." "Better than everyone being dead," Maya said. They worked for 2 more days, confirming the theory from every angle. The connection between the network and the void hunger was clear. They had found the answer. But Maya knew that finding an answer and getting people to accept it were 2 different things. On the 3rd night, Kira found Maya alone on an observation deck, staring at the stars through a massive window. The younger officer sat beside her in silence for a while.
Ow.
"Can I ask you something personal?" Kira finally said. Maya shrugged. "Go ahead. Why did you agree to help us?" "You had no reason to. You could have demanded to go home immediately." Maya was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than usual. "I lost people once. Soldiers under my command. We were in a bad situation, and I saw a way out. But leadership wouldn't listen. They wanted to follow the book, follow standard procedure. By the time they finally agreed to try my idea, it was too late." She paused. 6 people died because powerful men wouldn't listen to uncomfortable truths. Kira remained silent, listening. "I swore I would never let that happen again, even if it means being difficult. Even if it means people hate me." Maya turned to look at Kira. "And when I saw you speak up in that council room, I saw someone who understands. Someone who knows that saying the hard thing is more important than being liked." Kira's purple skin flushed slightly. In the CN culture, young officers are supposed to stay silent for a century before speaking in councils. I have broken that rule many times. It has not made me popular. Popular doesn't win wars. Smart does. Maya smiled slightly. "You're going to be a great leader someday, Kira. When all those popular officers are dead, you'll be the one still standing." The next morning, they presented their findings to the full council. Maya laid out the evidence carefully. The connection between the network and the void hunger. The proof that shutting down the network could save them. The council listened in growing horror. "Shut down the network." High Oracle Savinus whispered. "That would destroy everything we have built. Centuries of progress, it would take years to rebuild," an economic minister added. "Worlds would starve. Trade would collapse. Admiral Vexter stood slowly. His eyes were fixed on Maya with cold suspicion. "How convenient," he said, "that the Earthborn solution requires us to cripple ourselves, to tear apart the very foundation of our civilization." He looked around the room. Perhaps the prophecy was wrong. Perhaps this human was not sent to save us. Perhaps she was sent to destroy us from within. Guards moved toward Maya. She did not resist as they took her arms. "You're making a mistake," she said calmly. "The only mistake," Admiral Vexter replied, "was trusting an alien who appeared from nowhere and immediately told us to tear down everything we built. Take her to a holding cell. The council will decide her fate." As Maya was led away, she caught Kira's eye. The young officer looked devastated. Maya just winked. This was not over yet. The galaxy summoned a legendary Earthborn warrior, she yawned. "Skip the intro part 4. I don't do destiny. I do results." The holding cell was actually quite comfortable. Maya had been in worse places. At least this one had a proper bed and climate control. She lay on the bed with her hands behind her head, staring at the ceiling like she was on vacation. When Kira visited the next day, she found Maya looking perfectly relaxed. "How can you be so calm?" Kira demanded through the energy barrier. "Admiral Vexter is calling for your execution. He says you are a spy trying to weaken the coalition." "Of course he is." Maya sat up slowly. "He's scared. When powerful people get scared, they look for someone to blame. I'm convenient. We have to do something. Dr. Orvax and Zeth are trying to convince people, but no one will listen. Without you, without me, you have a chance to prove yourself." Maya walked to the barrier. "I knew this might happen. That's why I spent the last few days teaching you everything I know. You don't need me, Kira. You have the evidence. You have the team. You have a brain that works better than most admirals combined." Kira shook her head. "The council will not listen to a junior officer." "Then find someone they will listen to." Maya smiled slightly. "There's one member of the council who hasn't spoken against me. One leader who has been watching quietly, thinking instead of reacting. The Luminary Elder. Mothra." Kira's eyes widened. "Elder Mothra never speaks in councils. She only observes, which means she's smart enough to know that talking doesn't solve problems. Go to her. Tell her I request an audience. Tell her I have a proposal." Took 2 days to arrange the meeting. Elder Mothra was ancient beyond measurement, a being made of living light that flickered like a candle near the end of its life. The Luminary did not survive well in darkness. With the void hunger approaching, blocking out stars and consuming light itself, Mothra was slowly dying. She came to Maya's cell alone, floating like a ghost made of golden sunrise. Her voice was like wind through crystal chimes. "The Earthborn wishes to speak with me. Interesting. Most beings in your position would seek help from the strong. You seek help from one who is dying." Maya stood to face her. "I don't need strength. I need wisdom. And I have an offer. Speak. Help me prove my theory to the council. In return, I will find a way to save your people." Maya held up her hand before Mothra could speak, not through prophecy or magic. Through practical problem solving. If the void hunger can be defeated, your people can survive. I will make that my personal mission. Mothra's light flickered thoughtfully. "You make promises you may not be able to keep. I make promises I intend to keep. There's a difference." Maya stepped closer to the barrier. "You've been alive for thousands of years. You've seen civilizations rise and fall. You know the admirals are going to get everyone killed with their pride and their tradition. I'm your best shot. Maybe your only shot." The ancient being was silent for a long moment. Then her light grew slightly brighter. "What do you need?" Maya explained her plan. She needed to run an experiment. One small relay station, isolated from the main network. Power it up. Watch what happens. Then shut it down. If her theory was correct, the void hunger would respond. Mothra used her authority as an elder to make it happen. The experiment was conducted in secret. Far from the council's eyes, the results were undeniable. Within hours of powering up the isolated station, a tendril of the void hunger broke away from the main mass and began moving toward it. When they shut the station down, the tendril lost direction and wandered aimlessly before rejoining the main body. Maya stood in the observation room, watching the data with grim satisfaction. There's your proof. The network is guiding it straight to us. We're basically leaving a trail of lights for it to follow. Dr. Orvax recorded everything. Zeth prepared visual presentations. Kira organized the data into a format even the stubborn admirals could understand when they brought the evidence to the full council. The room fell silent. Admiral Vexther studied the recordings with a face like stone. He watched the Void Hunger respond to the relay station again and again. Finally, he looked at Maya with an expression that was not quite apology, but close. The experiment is convincing, he admitted. But shutting down the entire network would still destroy us. Even if we survived the Void Hunger, we would collapse into chaos. I know. Maya stepped forward. That's why we don't shut it all down at once. We do it in phases. Start with the outer stations. Create dark zones that the Void Hunger can't track through. It will slow down, get confused, give us time to develop alternatives. That could work, the economic minister said slowly. A gradual transition instead of a sudden collapse. Difficult, but not impossible. For the first time, Maya saw hope in the room. Real hope, not the desperate kind. Then a communication officer burst through the doors. Her face was pale with shock. We have a problem? A major problem. She activated a display showing the Void Hunger. It was doing something it had never done before. The massive darkness was splitting apart, dividing into thousands of smaller fragments. Each fragment was heading toward a different world. That's impossible, Admiral Vexler whispered. It has never done this before. Maya felt cold spread through her chest. Someone warned it. Someone told it our plan. She looked around the room. We have a traitor. The next hours were chaos. Security forces searched everywhere. Suspicion poisoned every conversation. Meanwhile, the fragments of the Void Hunger spread across Coalition space like seeds of death. It was Kira who found the answer. Her 4 hands had been searching through communication records, looking for anything suspicious. She found it in the most unlikely place. A minor bureaucrat, she reported to Maya. His name is Korvax. He works in the Cultural Preservation Office. For the past year, he has been in contact with a group called the Children of the Eternal Night. They believe the Void Hunger is a god. They worship it. Maya closed her eyes. Of course. There was always someone who thought they could bargain with the monster. Always someone willing to sell everyone else to save themselves. Korvax was arrested within the hour. Under questioning, he broke quickly. He was a small man, thin and nervous. Nothing like the dramatic villain Maya had imagined. You don't understand, he whimpered. The Void Hunger cannot be defeated. The children showed me the truth. The only way to survive is to submit. To give ourselves willingly. Those who serve are spared. And you believed them? I asked quietly. I saw it. In my dreams, it spoke to me. It promised that my family would be protected, that my world would be last. Tears ran down his face. I was just trying to save them. Maya looked at him for a long moment. She had expected to feel anger. Instead, she only felt tired. On Earth, there's always someone like you. Someone who thinks they can bargain with the monster, who thinks if they just cooperate, maybe they'll be eaten last. She turned away. The monster always lies. But Korvax had given them something useful. Information about the Children of the Eternal Night, about their rituals, about what they believed. And buried in that information was a secret that changed everything. The Void Hunger had a core, central consciousness that controlled all the fragments. The worshippers had seen it in their visions. They called it the Heart of Darkness, and it was hiding in the last place anyone would look. Maya stared at the location. Data on her screen. Her face showed nothing, but inside, she felt the pieces finally coming together. The Heart of Darkness was inside the Coalition's central relay station, the hub of the entire network. It was the first and most powerful node. It had been there for 20 years, growing, feeding, waiting, and now they knew where to find it. The galaxy summoned a legendary Earthborn warrior, she yawned. Skip the intro part 5. Let's finish this across Coalition space. Worlds burned. The fragments of the Void Hunger attacked everywhere at once. Emergency broadcasts filled every channel. Millions of refugees fled systems that had stood for thousands of years. The careful plans for a gradual network shutdown were useless now. Maya stood in the war room, watching reports come in from every corner of the galaxy. Cities swallowed by darkness, fleets scattered and broken, children crying for parents who would never come home. For the first time since arriving, she could not hide what she felt. The weight of it pressed down on her like a physical force. This was not a problem she could solve with clever thinking. This was extinction. She walked away without a word. Kira found her later on the same observation deck where they had talked before. Maya was staring at the stars, but her eyes were empty. Sergeant Chen. Kira spoke softly. Maya, I'm out of ideas. Maya's voice was flat. I've been pretending I have everything figured out. Pretending I'm not scared. But the truth is, I'm just a woman from a small planet who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Kira sat beside her. You found the core. You gave us a target we can't hit. The central relay station is surrounded by Void Hunger fragments now. Even if we could get through, destroying the core means destroying the station. It's a suicide mission. Then we send someone who is willing to die. Maya laughed bitterly. That's not the problem. The problem is me. I'm supposed to be the chosen one, right? Prophecy says I saved the galaxy, but I don't have any magic powers. I don't have any special destiny. I'm just stubborn and lucky, and I think my luck just ran out. Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised Maya. When I was young, my grandmother told me a story. She said that true heroes are not born special. They become special by choosing to act when everyone else is afraid. The prophecy did not choose you because of what you are, Maya. It chose you because of who you become when everything seems lost. Maya looked at her. Something shifted in her eyes. Your grandmother sounds smart. She was. Kira smiled. She also said that the best warriors are the ones who fight for others, not for glory. Maya stood up slowly. She looked out at the stars again, but this time her expression was different. Harder, decided. Okay, she said. Let's finish this. She returned to the war room with Kira beside her. This time, she had a plan. The core is inside the central relay station. We can't destroy it from outside because the Void Hunger is protecting it, so we go inside. Small team, fast ship, get in before the fragments can react. Admiral Vexter studied her with his ancient eyes, and once inside, how do you destroy it? The station has emergency shutdown protocols. If we trigger a cascading overload in the main reactor, it will create an energy explosion big enough to destroy the core. Maya paused. Anyone inside won't survive. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what she was saying. I'll go, Maya said simply. I was summoned for this. Might as well make it count. No, the voice came from Admiral Vexter. He stepped forward, his massive form blocking the main display. If this mission requires sacrifice, it should not be yours alone. I have led fleets into battle. I have asked thousands of warriors to die for the Coalition. It is time I took the same risk I asked of them. Zeth raised a feathered hand. Someone needs to fly the ship through that mess. Nobody else here can do it. I'm in. Kira stepped forward. I will not be left behind. My analysis skills will be needed inside the station. Maya looked at them, these aliens she had known for only days. Her throat felt tight. You understand what this means? The odds of survival are, we understand, Vexter interrupted. Sometimes duty requires more than survival. Elder Mothra floated forward. Her light was very dim now, barely visible. The approaching darkness was killing her slowly. I cannot join your mission, she said softly, but I may be able to help in another way. When the time comes, I will give what light I have left. It may be enough. Maya nodded. She did not trust herself to speak. The mission launched 3 hours later. Their ship was small and fast. Designed for stealth rather than combat, Zeth flew, like nothing Maya had ever seen, dodging between fragments of the void hunger that moved like living nightmares. Several times Maya was certain they would die. Each time Zeth found a way through. The central relay station loomed ahead. It was massive, a city-sized structure of metal and crystal that had once been the pride of the Coalition. Now it was surrounded by darkness, tendrils of the void hunger wrapping around it like a spider's web around trapped prey. There, Kira pointed at a maintenance port. That entrance is still clear. Barely. Zeth made a noise that might have been a laugh or a prayer. Then he pushed the ship forward. They crashed more than landed, but they survived. The four of them emerged into the station's dark corridors. Emergency lights flickered. The walls seemed to breathe with shadows. Maya led the way, her weapon ready. Vexter moved beside her, his military experience showing in every step. Kira watched their data feeds. Zeth brought up the rear, his pilot's eyes catching every movement. They found the core in the station's heart. It was beautiful. That was the worst part. The heart of darkness was not ugly or monstrous. It was a swirling sphere of perfect black, surrounded by lights that danced like stars. It pulsed with a rhythm that felt almost like music, and it spoke, not with words, but with feelings, with promises. Maya felt warmth wash over her, felt peace she had not known since she was a child. The core showed her everything she wanted. Rest, safety, a chance to finally stop fighting. She saw Vexter lower his weapon, saw Kira's eyes go distant, saw Zeth slump against the wall with a peaceful smile. The core promised them their deepest desires. All they had to do was stop. Let go, surrender. Maya felt herself starting to drift. It would be so easy. So warm. Just give in. Just rest. Then she remembered something. A night in the desert years ago, holding a dying soldier's hand. Promising him that his sacrifice would mean something. Promising that she would never give up. You know what humans have that you don't? Maya spoke through gritted teeth. Her hand found the overload control. We've been telling ourselves stories about monsters since we lived in caves. And in every story, the monster loses. The core's pressure increased. The promises became commands. Surrender, submit, sleep. You're not special, Maya gasped, forcing her hand to move. You're just big. She triggered the overload. Alarm screamed. The sphere of darkness pulsed with anger. Vexter snapped out of his trance and grabbed Kira. Zeth stumbled toward the exit. And then, light filled the chamber. Elder Mothra appeared like a sunrise, her dying form blazing with every bit of energy she had left. The light burned against the darkness, creating a corridor of pure brightness. Go. Mothra's voice was thunder. Run. I will hold it. Maya ran. They all ran. Behind them, the ancient Luminar Elder gave everything she had, buying them seconds with her life. The ship was damaged, but functional. Zeth threw himself at the controls. The station exploded behind them as they fled, a blast of energy that lit up the entire system. Across the galaxy, every fragment of the void hunger screamed. The connection to their core was severed. Without the heart, they were nothing. One by one, they dissolved into empty space like nightmares fading at dawn. The war was over. 3 weeks. Later, Maya stood before the Coalition Council one last time. The galaxy was healing. The network was being rebuilt, this time with safeguards. Memorials were raised for the fallen. Elder Mothra's sacrifice was already becoming legend. High Oracle Savinus offered Maya everything: wealth, power, a seat on the council. The official title of Savior of the Galaxy. Maya just smiled. I want one thing. Send me home. Savinus nodded sadly. It will be done. But know that you will always be welcome here. As the ritual began to send her back, Kira stepped forward. Her purple skin was flushed with emotion. Will we ever see you again? Maya considered the question. You know what? Give humanity a few years to get ready. Then come introduce yourselves. We're not much for rituals, but we throw a hell of a welcome party. She stepped into the light and disappeared. Maya woke up in the warehouse break room. Her sandwich was still in her hand. Her break timer showed 12 minutes remaining. She stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then she laughed softly, finished her sandwich, and went back to work. 3 years later, the sky over Earth filled with lights. Ships from 100 different species descended through the clouds. News broadcasts went crazy. People panicked. Government scrambled. But in a small warehouse in Ohio, a woman watched the arrivals with a knowing smile. The aliens had come. And this time, Maya Chen was ready for them. She grabbed her jacket and headed outside to say hello to old friends. The galaxy had finally come to Earth, and humanity was about to discover that the universe was a lot more interesting than they ever imagined.